Would you stay silent? Or let revenge speak for you? Welcome to the stories on Shattered Vengeance. Step into a world where love turns dangerous, revenge feels inevitable, and every story drags you deeper into the shadows of desire, betrayal, and the human heart. Let's begin today's story. The country club ballroom glittered with 500 guests celebrating my sister Michelle's wedding to Dr. James Patterson, Chief of Cardiology at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. I sat at table 17, the one near the kitchen where they'd seated me with Michelle's college friends who'd asked, "What do you do?" "I run a tech startup," I'd said. They'd nodded politely and changed the subject. My mother found me during the cocktail hour, champagne in hand, her expression a familiar mixture of disappointment and forced optimism. "Harper, dear, we need to talk." She pulled me aside, near the ice sculpture shaped like a heart. "Your father and I have been patient with this whole startup thing, but it's been 6 years. Don't you think it's time to stop playing entrepreneur and get a real job?" "My company is doing well, Mom." "Doing well?" She laughed, but it wasn't kind. "Sweetheart, you're 32 years old, still renting an apartment, driving that old Honda. Meanwhile, Michelle is marrying a doctor. A chief of cardiology. Do you understand what that means? It means she's marrying someone successful." "Exactly. And you're still playing with computers, chasing some fantasy about making it big in Silicon Valley. It's time to grow up." My phone buzzed. A message from my CFO. Microsoft offer confirmed. $15.2 billion all cash. Board approved unanimously. Press release goes live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. CNBC wants live coverage from the wedding venue. They tracked your location. I checked my watch. 5:47 p.m. "Mom, I need to take this call." "Always on your phone. This is your sister's wedding, Harper. Can't work, wait for one day." I stepped onto the terrace as my phone rang. Marcus Chin, my CEO and co-founder. "Harper, Microsoft's wire transfer just cleared. $15.2 billion. The largest acquisition in enterprise software history. We did it." My hands shook. We'd built Nexus Core from nothing. 3 founders in a garage 6 years ago, writing code for enterprise data security. Now Microsoft was acquiring us for $15.2 billion. My equity stake, 23%. After taxes, approximately $2.1 billion. CNBC tracked me to the wedding venue, I said. They want to cover it live. I told them to wait until tomorrow, but you know financial media. They're setting up now. The producer says they'll interrupt regular programming at 6. "Harper, this is going to be nuclear. My sister's wedding is happening right now." "I know. I'm sorry. But we can't stop this. The SEC filing is public. The press release is drafted. Microsoft CEO is doing interviews. This is happening." I hung up and returned to the ballroom. Dad was giving a toast, champagne glass raised high. To my daughter Michelle, who followed in my footsteps into medicine. Who dedicated her life to healing others. Who found a partner equally committed to excellence. He beamed at James. I couldn't be prouder. This is what success looks like. 2 brilliant physicians building a life together. Applause. Guests stood cheering. Michelle glowed. Dad's eyes found me at table 17. "And to my other daughter Harper, we hope you find your path eventually. It's never too late to choose stability over fantasy." Scattered laughter. Sympathetic looks in my direction. I smiled politely and checked my watch. 5:58 p.m. Through the ballroom windows I saw trucks pulling up. Satellite equipment. Camera crews. CNBC logos on everything. Marcus appeared at my table wearing his one good suit. "They're here. Producer wants you outside in 2 minutes for the live shot." "Marcus, this is my sister's wedding. This is a $15 billion deal. The biggest tech acquisition this year. You can't hide from it." The ballroom doors opened. A producer rushed in, headset on, urgency radiating from every gesture. She scanned the room and headed straight for me. "Harper Chin. I'm Rebecca Walsh, CNBC. We're going live in 90 seconds on the Microsoft Nexus Core acquisition. We need you for the interview." "I'm at a wedding." "We know. That's part of the story. Billionaire founder at her sister's wedding when the deal closes." "Perfect. Please, we're live in 60 seconds. The room had gone silent. Every guest was watching this woman with the headset interrupt the wedding to talk to the girl from table 17. Harper. Dad's voice was confused. What's going on? Sir, I need your daughter, Rebecca said. CNBC is broadcasting live about her company's acquisition by Microsoft. $15 billion. We're on in 40 seconds. The words hung in the air like smoke. 15 billion? Michelle's voice was small. I followed Rebecca outside where cameras were already positioned, lights blazing. The main anchor, David Faber, stood ready with a microphone. Harperchin, we're live in 10 seconds. Just answer naturally. This is incredible news. The red light came on. We're interrupting our regular programming with breaking news from the technology sector, Faber announced, his voice crisp and professional. Microsoft has just completed its acquisition of Nexus Core, an enterprise data security company, for $15.2 billion, the largest software acquisition this year. We're here with Harperchin, Nexus Core's co-founder and CTO, who owns 23% of the company. He turned to me. Harper, you just became one of the youngest female billionaires in tech. How does it feel? Surreal, I managed. We started in a garage 6 years ago. 3 founders, no funding, just an idea about making enterprise data more secure. Now worth over $15 billion. Take us through the journey. I talked about the early days. The 18-hour coding sessions. The first enterprise client. A Fortune 500 company that paid us $50,000 for our first contract. The series of funding of $8 million. Series B at $120 million. Series C at $800 million valuation. And you did all this while your family thought you were, quote, playing entrepreneur? Faber asked, clearly having done his research. My family didn't understand the tech industry. They saw someone working long hours on a computer and assumed I was wasting time. But now you're worth approximately $2.1 billion after taxes. What's next? Honestly, I need to get back to my sister's wedding. She's getting married today and I'm missing the reception. Faber laughed. The wedding where your father toasted the doctor and suggested you should stop playing entrepreneur and get a real job? I glanced toward the ballroom windows where I could see faces pressed against the glass. He didn't know. None of them did. I never told them how well the company was doing. Why not? I wanted to see if they'd respect me without the billions. Turns out they didn't. But that's okay. I built something anyway. The interview lasted 6 more minutes. Questions about Microsoft's plans, Nexus Core's technology, the future of enterprise security, my role post-acquisition. When the cameras finally cut, the ballroom doors burst open. Dad rushed out, Mom behind him, Michelle and James following. Harper. Dad's voice was hoarse. $15 billion? You sold your company for $15 billion. Microsoft bought it. I didn't sell it alone. There are 2 other founders. But yes. And you own 23%, Mom said faintly. $2.1 billion after taxes, Marcus confirmed, appearing at my side. More or less, depending on the final accounting. Michelle looked like she might cry. You're a billionaire? You've been a billionaire this whole time. I became one about 15 minutes ago when the wire transfer cleared. Before that, I was just very well funded. But you drive a Honda, Dad said desperately, as if this proved something. I like my Honda. It's reliable. I don't need a Ferrari to validate my success. The apartment you rent is actually a penthouse I own. I told you I was renting because you kept suggesting I move back home to save money. I didn't want the lecture about wasting money on expensive housing. Mom sat heavily on a nearby bench. 6 years. For 6 years we've been telling you to get a real job. To stop playing with computers. To be more like Michelle. I know. Why didn't you tell us? Michelle asked, and she actually sounded hurt. We're family. Because I wanted you to see me. Really see me. Not my bank account or my company valuation. Just me. The daughter who liked coding. The sister who chose a different path. I looked at each of them. But you only saw failure. Because I wasn't a doctor. Because I didn't fit your definition of success. We would have been proud, Dad started. You weren't proud when you thought I had nothing. You're only proud now because CNBC is broadcasting my net worth. That's not pride in me, Dad. That's pride in a number. The wedding coordinator appeared, flustered. We need to resume the reception. The cake cutting is scheduled. Go ahead, I said to Michelle. This is your day. Go cut your cake. Celebrate your marriage. I'm happy for you and James. Truly. You're leaving, she asked. I have a company to transition to Microsoft. Board meetings. Legal documentation. My life didn't stop because I got rich, Michelle. It just got more complicated. Stay for the cake at least, she said quietly. Please. I stayed for the cake. Watched Michelle and James cut it together, all smiles for the photographer. Listened to more toasts where suddenly people remembered I existed and wanted to congratulate me. Uncle Richard approached during dessert. Harper, I've got a great investment opportunity. Startup in biotech. Could use someone with your expertise and resources. No. You haven't even heard the pitch. No. I'm not your ATM just because CNBC announced my net worth. He walked away offended. Others came. Distant cousins I hadn't seen in years. Family friends who'd never learned my name. All suddenly very interested in my company, my plans, my portfolio. I left before the bouquet toss. Marcus drove me to my actual apartment. The penthouse in downtown Chicago with views of Lake Michigan. That was brutal, he said. That was necessary. Now they know. And nothing changes. They saw what they wanted to see before. Now they'll see what they want to see again, just with more zeros attached. My phone buzzed constantly. Messages from family. Apologies. Explanations. Invitations to lunch, to coffee, to catch up. I turned it off. The next morning, the Wall Street Journal ran a front-page story. Billionaire created at sister's wedding. Harper Chen's $15 billion exit. The article detailed my family's reaction, Dad's toast about getting a real job, the CNBC interruption. It went viral. Michelle called 3 times. I finally answered. Harper, I'm sorry. I had no idea. We all had no idea. I know. Can we start over? Really try to have a relationship that isn't based on comparing our careers. Do you actually want that, Michelle? Or do you want to be the billionaire's sister? Silence. Then quietly, I don't know. I really don't know. That's honest at least. I softened slightly. Call me when you figure it out. If you figure it out. 6 months later, Microsoft integrated NexusCore's technology. I stayed on as an advisor working 3 days a week, making more money than I'd ever imagined. Michelle and I had coffee occasionally. Awkward at first, then slowly easier. She stopped mentioning my net worth. Started asking about my actual work. Dad sent a letter. Handwritten. I was wrong to dismiss your path. I measured success by my own standards and failed to see your achievements. I'm proud of you. Not because of the billions. Because you built something meaningful despite everyone telling you to quit. That takes courage I'm not sure I have. I kept the letter. Mom still introduces me as, my daughter the entrepreneur, with that tone that suggests she's still not quite sure what I do. But she doesn't tell me to get a real job anymore. Small victories. The wedding where I became a billionaire is family legend now. The toast that mentioned playing entrepreneur, the CNBC interruption the moment everything changed. Michelle jokes that I upstaged her wedding. I tell her she married a doctor at a 5-star venue with 500 guests. I just happened to close a $15 billion deal during dessert. We laugh about it now. Most of the time, the real job I finally got turned out to be worth $2.1 billion. Not bad for playing entrepreneur.